Hi choir, thanks for tuning in. My name is Sonia Henry. I'm a music teacher at Golden Sierra High School, and I'm doing this video because I want to help my students who are studying from home. So I've titled today's video, The Singer's Guide to Home Practice, The Singer's Guide to Home Practice. So I want you to be able to have a few tools for practicing on your own. I'm going to run you through some vocal warm-ups, which you're used to doing at school, just some basics to help you have that framework that you're used to. And then also I want to focus on theory, how the music theory relates to what you're singing, and hopefully make that easier for you, because I know many of you are working from the workbook. So let's get started. So I have three points on my outline for you today. It says here, warming up the voice using the major scale. I'm going to walk you through the things we usually do, and then we're going to sing through the famous Do Re Mi song, one of your favorites. And that, by the way, is a major scale, singing the song Do Re Mi. Secondly, we're going to look at the major scale in the Essential Musicianship book. That's this one, that's written for vocalists and choirs. And we're going to find the major scale in some of the pages that you've worked on and some that you may work on in the future. And then the third topic is looking at intervals in the Essentials of Music Theory's book, this book that you've been working through page by page. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks you'll have finished this book. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one of the pages near the end of the book and walk you through that as it's related to today's topics. All right, so let's get warmed up the way we usually do. First things first is you want to make sure that your body is nice and relaxed. If you have any tight spots that's going to tense up your body, you want to find those spots and loosen them up. Okay, sometimes we start with a head roll, just dropping your head from the ear parallel to the shoulder, and then rolling forward here, go to the other side, and then go ahead and roll from this side back over, and you should feel a nice stretch in through the neck. And then if you need to loosen up your shoulders, go ahead and do that. And stretching out the upper back and rolling all the way down, rolling through the lower back, reach down and touch your toes, shake out your arms, and then slowly rolling all the way back up. And then, the best part about your posture, imagine that you have a string from the top of your head, and you want to imagine that string being lifted and aligning your whole spine. So you should be standing as tall as possible. Feet are shoulder width apart. You don't want your feet wider, and you don't want to stand with your feet together. You want to stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Nice tall posture, and now we're going to check our breathing. So if you would take your hands, find your rib cage, put your hands just below your ribs, and now we're going to take a deep breath in and see if you can bring those fingertips apart just like this. And release that air out. Okay, we're going to do 3 of those. I call them your practice breaths. It's just going to activate your breathing. It's going to help you remind you where that diaphragm is and where that breathing action happens. Okay, so take your 2 hands again, find your ribs, slide them down, and bring your fingertips together, squeeze in that waist. And now you're going to take that breath in. Ready? And exhale. 2 more. And exhale. And breathing in 1 more time. And exhale. Okay, now we've gotten all the breathing apparatus warmed up, the diaphragm located and warmed up, and now let's warm up the voice. Okay, I'm going to sit at the piano, and first we'll just start with a little bit of a hum. We're going to hum on middle C, so take that breath in. And now our 5 vowels. Mi, me, ma, mo. Take a breath in, go to the next step, half step higher. Mi, me, ma, mo. Half step higher. Mi, me, ma, mo. cover it, all right? Mi, me, mo, mo. Mi, me, mo, mo. Mi, me, mo, mo. Mi, me, mo, mo. Now as you're going through these, keep a relaxed jaw, nice big open space. I'll hum on each of those M's before you actually sing with an open mouth on those vowels. Let's do the same ones coming down the scale now. We were up to middle, from middle C to G. So we're going to start from G and work our way down by half steps, okay? Mi, me, mo, mo. 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 Okay, that'll give you a nice way to warm up. And now we're going to sing through 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th degree of the scale, or C through G, and then right back down again, okay? So on, just an open all right? 1, 2, ready, and up a half step. Keep moving up the scale. Now we're going to do the same coming back down, okay? Starting on the same scale. This is high C. Okay, now just for fun, that's a very light warm-up, get you started. Let's go ahead and do our do, re, mi song. I'll sing it through one time, and then I'll play the accompaniment for you to sing alone on your own, okay? So sing with me the first time. Here we go. Do, a deer, a female deer, lay a drop for the sun. Me and name I call my son, far a long way to run. So when you pulling thread, long to follow so. Tea and drink and jam and bread, that will bring us back. scale as part of your warm-up. All right, let's get back to our outline over here. You did a good job singing through your major scale. Now let's take a look at our Essential Musicianship book, okay? We have a few pages that we're going to zoom in on and take a look and find some of the same things that you've been singing, okay? So first of all, page 12 shows a little diagram of 8 steps that create the key of C major, all right? So take a look at page 12. And here you have, it looks like stair steps, okay? And this is showing you from low to high, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So you did this just now as you were singing the song. C is the same thing as Do because it is the name of the key and it is the most important tone in the scale. So C and Do, same thing here, okay? Then D would be Re, and you can match up each letter name with each degree of the solfege. E would be Mi, Fa would be F, So would be G, A is La, T is B, and then high C is Do again. Okay, another way to look at a major scale is you can number each degree of the scale. So 1 through 8 is the same thing as C through C, and then 1 through 8 is the same thing as Do through high Do. Okay, talking about 8 tones of the scale. All right, so this easily outlines it for you, and then it puts it on a staff. So here it is notated, starting from middle C, up through high C, and then back again. All right, this gives you the note names and where it's located on the staff. So this is going to help you when you're reading your music. Now, to practice singing, you can sing through how we did just now, and then also if you look at page 13, you can do short exercises using just a few scale degrees at a time to quiz yourself on going up and down the scale. So this first exercise here is Do, Re, Mi, or C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, okay? So you can sing, if I get the starting pitch, Do, Re, Mi, or C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3. You can sing straight up like that. The next exercise starts with the 3rd degree of the scale, Mi, Re, Do, or E, D, C, or 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you go on to the next one, 1, 2, 1, or C, D, C, or Do, Re, Do. Okay, you can go through each exercise like that. And if you want to, you can write in either the solfege or the name of the letter until you get used to it, and then go back and erase it and see if you can sing the scale pitches again, either solfege or note name, without your pencil markings written in there. Erase it. Eventually you want to be able to read by identifying the note on the staff rather than being dependent on the alphabetical letter name or the solfege. You should be able to read the note on the staff. That's the whole idea. So that gets you started with the scale. Let's go ahead and skip up to page 21. This is something we've done in class, one of my favorite pages, and I think it's most helpful. If we scoot up to page 21, this is basically a little song form using the scale degree, the different scales of degree. But what's nice about the way this song is written is within the song will tell you whether or not what the interval you just sang is a whole step or a half step. That way you get used to hearing what does a whole step sound like, what does it feel like when I vocalize it, and what does it look like in the music. So If we go through and read this one, I'll play the starting pitch and I'll sing it with you. From page 21, very simply. C, D, whole step, D, D, E. Let me start that one over again. C, D, whole step, D, E, whole step, C, D, E, D, whole step, whole step, whole. All right, you can take it line by line. The next one is going to start on the third degree of the scale, and so forth. We've done this in class many times, so as you're playing this recording, you can hear that first pitch, C, and you can go ahead and work through this whole page, and it ends up on high C, which we already just sang. So the key of C major should be well in your ear, and you can sing through this whole page. All right, I want to go ahead and take a few minutes and go ahead and look at page 44 in the same book, okay? So if you want to pause this video to go ahead and complete this page of singing, you can, or you can come back to it later, whichever you choose. But for now, let's go ahead and look at page 44. And the reason I'm highlighting this page is because, for the purposes of choir, it's going to show two different notes at the same time. When you hear two or more notes at the same time, that's called a harmonic interval. So here it's showing a G and an A together, and that sounds like this. Here's the G, here's the A, and together. That's an interval of a second, and an interval of a second has a little bit of tension in it, which is really nice in music because there's almost always release followed by the tension. And sure enough, that's what happens here. This book moves from a second, and then it goes to a third. A third is a very common interval. It's very harmonious. It sounds like this. The book is giving us the G, and then a B. So together at the same time, you're hearing a harmony of thirds, okay? Next, they're starting with the same note G, and they're presenting the interval of a fourth. So when you hear those together, that's a harmonic fourth, and it sounds like this. Here's the G, here's the C, and then, last but not least, given right here, is the interval of the fifth. You'll notice it's a line, then skipping a line to the next line above. So that's a G on the bottom and a D on the top. That's the interval of a harmonic fifth. Now the reason this is important is because when you're singing with another choir member in your section or in another section, you will hear these different harmonies. And if you're listening for your specific pitch, it's very helpful to know what that sounds like. What does a second sound like? What does a third sound like? What does a fourth sound like? And what does a fifth sound like? And then, of course, if there's more than two-part harmony, if you have three-part or four-part harmony, you can hear the different intervals within the given chord. So that's why you want to be able to identify the note and to identify the interval and what it sounds like, okay? So go ahead and review this page, page 44, and if you take a look at page 45, the one next to it, you will notice that they are again reviewing the intervals, but in this case, the intervals are separate. When you move from one note to the next, the distance of those intervals we would call a melodic interval. So what starts out here on page 45 with a melodic second from G to A, so those tones are broken apart. Here's G to A. Then the next measure, they show a G to an A to a B. Okay, that's walking up the scale. a second, and then another second. So G to A to B sounds like this. And then the next measure is G to A to B to C, okay? And those are all seconds. And then the following measure, again, all seconds, moving one note to the very next, this time starting with G, moving to A, B, C, and then D. All right, moving one step at a time, an interval of a second, okay? So this book, even though it emphasizes singing, what I really like about it is that it does have, as it states on page 44, this theory, because it's important for you to understand the theory that you have within a given song, so that you have the head knowledge of what it is you are to sing, rather than always being 100% dependent on whoever's playing the piano for you, just orally learning your part and memorizing that. I want to be able to read it. So that covers this book, Essential Musicianship, for what I wanted to point out today. And next, let's take a look then and see what that looks like in your actual theory book, because I know you're doing about 1 page per day in your theory book. So now from your music theory book, I know you've worked through the first few pages, and eventually you're working through the middle. Everyone's kind of at a different place. Each page is very simple in that it always gives a very detailed explanation on the first part of the page, and then a short worksheet on the bottom half of the page. Now, if you haven't already discovered this, all of the instructions are very detailed on this top half of the page, and you can use this as a guide to whatever answers you're looking for on the bottom half of the page. In other words, you can use this as reference material. So whatever they're asking you here, you can find the answers here. If you're really stuck, of course, you can give me a phone call, send me an email, or through Google Classroom. Please send in your questions. I'll be happy to help you. It's not difficult, but I understand maybe not everything comes very easily, and you may get stuck, or you may feel stuck at some point. So please call and ask. I'm more than happy to help to answer your questions, okay? With a little bit of guidance, you'll see that it's very simple, all right? So with regard to today's lesson, if you want to go ahead and skip forward to page 37, we're going to take a look at 37. 37 talks about half steps, whole steps, and the major scale. So it's going to walk you through the same notes that you just sang with the Do, Re, Mi song, but we're going to look at it in terms of half steps and whole steps, okay? So it's explained here in this first paragraph that the distance from any key on the keyboard to the very next key above or below, whether black or white, is called a half step. Now, if you don't have a piano at home, perhaps you can download a piano app on your phone, and you can touch the keys on a piano app and get the same result as playing a piano in terms of wanting to find out what does it sound like. What does half step plus a half step plus a half step sound like, okay? So here it is showing you from the white key to the black key, to the next white key, to the next black key. Those are all called half steps if you go from one to the next. And within the kind of music that we have, which we call Western music, these are the smallest intervals we have, is half steps. So listen as I play from C to C using only half steps. Okay, I'm going to play each of those keys, white to black and white to black and so forth. Here we go. This is C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then high C. Okay? That's what all of those half steps sound like. Okay, next, let's go into the next one. It says, the distance from any key to 2 keys above or below is called a whole step, all right? It's easier to look at if you're looking at the diagram. So if you go from C to the next whole step here, D, that's called a whole step. You're skipping this black key. C to D, white key to white key is a whole step. Then E to F is a whole step. Now in this case, there's no black key between E and F. This is a half step. So if you go from E to F sharp, this black key, that's a whole step. E, skip F, go to F sharp. E to F is a whole step. Okay, if you go from G to A, that's a whole step. And then it is showing you here, if you go from B to C sharp, the black key, B to C sharp, that's a whole step, okay? So you can review this, walk through it slowly, and let me play that for you, what we just reviewed here. So here is C to D, D to E is a whole step, E to F sharp is a whole step, that F sharp is a black key, okay, G to A is a whole step, and the last one they give you is B to C sharp, B to C sharp. That's a whole step, okay? That's what all of those whole steps sound like there. Okay, now the last one they're showing here is a major scale, and it's the one we've been working on today already. That's C major, okay? And it says the key a half step up from C to C sharp. This key is also a half step down from the D. Oh, this little paragraph is talking about enharmonic tones, Basically showing that every black key has 2 names. Every black key has 2 names, okay? And that information should be a review from what you've learned earlier. If you go from one white key to the very next key on the right, a black key, that is the sharp tone. So from C to the next black key, that's C sharp. But it has an additional name. That same tone has an additional name. If you go from D and you go to the very next key to the left, that's going lower, it sounds lower. D to D flat is the same key as C sharp. So this paragraph here is explaining that all of those black keys have 2 names. C sharp and D flat, they are the same tone. If you approach it from C, you're going higher to C sharp. If you approach it from D, you're going lower, so D flat. Okay, so that's what that's explaining here, the enharmonic tones. Okay? So you can use all of these paragraphs at the top to answer the questions at the bottom. And this makes a good reference. But here again, as I said, if you have any questions or if it doesn't make sense, just give me a call or send me an email or a text. I'll be happy to explain it to you, okay? So I know that theory is one of those things, especially in choirs, people get a little bit hung up on why do I need to know all that stuff. It makes you a smarter singer and it makes you less dependent on other musicians. If you know and understand the notation, if you understand what is a scale, if you understand the intervals, whether they're harmonic or melodic, then this will help you to sing your part and be more independent. So that's all I have for you today, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Please call me, and if you want to set up a one-on-one where I play through the part of a specific song just for you, we can set up at some sort of teleconferencing through Zoom or Google Meets or something like that, and I'll be happy to play through just your part. If you're struggling with maybe some of those alto notes, a harmony note, or if you want me to play the accompaniment for you, And you can record that, and if you want to practice a solo, that'd be awesome too. So main thing is to communicate. So I'll look forward to hearing from you, and I hope this has been helpful today.